Here is what nobody is saying out loud, but every single high capacity woman is feeling. You are spread so thin that you are physically present in your life, but mentally somewhere else entirely. You're snapping at the kids and your loved ones that you would do anything for. You're moving so fast through your life that you're going to look up one day and not remember the precious moments within it. That is not a discipline problem. That is not a motivation problem. That's a physiology problem. Your nervous system is running on survival mode, and it has been for years. I'm going to give you the roadmap to get out of this state in real time, in real life, starting now. This is one of the resources I get the most questions about, and the one that I see women come back to again and again. And I know the reason why that is because this actually works in real life. This is not just theory. This doesn't just work when you have that perfect morning, but this works when you're overwhelmed, when you're behind, when you're about to lose it on someone that you love. So I want you to grab something to write with because you are going to want to take notes. What I'm walking you through in this episode is a complete brainwave roadmap, a literal gear-by-gear guide to shifting your nervous system from stress and survival mode into calm, clarity, and presence in the moment, in any moment. If you have ever felt like you cannot turn your brain off, like you're always reacting instead of responding, or like you've completely lost yourself in the chaos of everything you're managing, this is your roadmap back home. Stay with me. You're going to love this one. Okay, you guys, this is your roadmap to realignment. And I'm so excited to walk through this worksheet with you because this is probably one of my favorite resources I've ever created. My goal for you with this is that this is something that you personalize, and we're going to walk through it all during our time together right now, and that you look at regularly. And we're going to talk about why that is from a neuroscience perspective. But essentially, this is based on the 3 parts of my book, The Connection Code. Where I'm going to take you on this journey together today is from being misaligned back into alignment, and then how to stay in alignment when real life happens. Now, what I mean by that is we as women, so many of us have essentially lost ourselves. And we can look at this in the grand scheme of things in what I like to call macro, right? So maybe we've lost ourselves because we've been taking care of everyone else, or we've been so invested in our career, raising our families, that we've become disconnected and kind of forgotten who we are, what we want, what we need, what we desire. That is misalignment. That is a disconnection from ourselves. We can also look at this on the micro scale, the smaller scale, those everyday, I'll say, opportunities, which are really challenges that we lose ourselves, that we become disconnected. So an example of that, of micro misalignment, would be like perhaps you're in an office meeting or you're on a Zoom call, or you get some sort of triggering interaction. And we've all had this experience in some regard where maybe your chest tightens, your heart rate starts to escalate. You just feel like that yuck tension. This is usually where we lose, in a sense, the connection with our body and we get into our minds. Maybe we future trip or past trip. This can also be like in the middle of the night, those intrusive thoughts. So these are all examples of misalignment. What I'm going to walk you through in our time together today is a literal roadmap to get you back into realignment in an instant. And what I love about this resource is that so many of the tools that we are taught that are marketed to help us take care of ourselves or to live better or feel better are like these 1-hour escapes outside of us, right? So maybe it's a workout class, which I love. Maybe it's a biohacking tool, which I also love. And these are great. But what's really important is that in these moments, in the micro moments of misalignment, which is probably what happens much of many of our days, those tools don't work because we can't access them. And so this worksheet we're going to go through is going to give you, like I keep saying, it is literally the roadmap to realignment. Then in part 3 of my book, and what we're going to tease a little bit here in this worksheet, is how to stay in alignment. So, I don't know if you guys have ever had this experience where maybe you hear a great podcast or you read a good book or you go to a conference or retreat and you learn all these incredible things. And then you go home to apply them and you fall short because life happens. So I want to touch on all of that. And mainly I do that in part 3 of the book, The Connection Code. But let's tease it a little bit today because I want to set you guys up for success. And I want you to know that when those things happen, you're not failing. This is an opportunity to practice. We're not going for perfection. And this is how we don't continue to give up on ourselves. And we actually keep forging this path of the new way, getting back to our true selves. Okay, so if you guys have ever heard of cycle syncing, maybe you have, maybe you haven't. And also, I want to make sure if you're a man and you're listening to this, cycle syncing is something that applies to women. And I'm going to talk about that and as it relates to what we're about to do. But I want to be clear that everything I'm going to teach today works great for men too. So if you know what cycle syncing is a way that as much as possible, we as women align our life, what we're doing in the day-to-day, with our hormonal fluctuations throughout our menstrual cycle. If you're someone who is no longer bleeding, then you reference the moon. And so what cycle syncing does is it gives you this monthly, essentially weekly ability to get back to yourself. So for instance, leading up to our period, a lot of women will feel internal, not super social, maybe low energy. This is usually the time where you want to watch that, Netflix show you've been dying to catch up on. But we live in a world that is very much geared towards our ovulation phase, which is like the go out and get it, push work mode, crush the workouts, do all the things. It isn't in alignment. And so when we are living out of alignment with our menstrual cycle, we feel frazzled. We feel overwhelmed. We can feel burnt out. We might feel like not enough. Like, why is that woman out there able to do all the things and I'm not? Well, most likely that woman is in a different phase of her cycle than you are. And so what cycle syncing does is it gives you permission slip to pause. It reminds you there's not something wrong with you. You are living out of alignment with your body's natural cycle and rhythm. This that I'm going to teach you right now is so special and unique because this is not just a weekly opportunity and this isn't just for women. So if you're a woman listening, share this with the man in your life because this is for all of us. And this is a moment-to-moment opportunity for any time that you lose yourself to get instantly back in simply by knowing our brainwaves and how to use them. Okay, so I want to jump right in. And, as always, if you guys have comments or questions, put them in the comments of this because this creates a really nice dialogue. I love the interaction with you all. And also, if you've got a question, most likely someone else does too. And so you create that opportunity for them to get the answer as well. Okay, so we're going to look at this part of the worksheet that looks like a wheel, and I'm going to walk through it with you. Essentially, our brain waves are like gears in a car. Okay, so we're going to talk about a few main brain waves, but I want to zoom out for a minute and keep this really simple so that even if you're not looking at your worksheet, you know this. Like anyone who has a car knows, you would not instantly in a manual car go into gear 3. You need to warm up before you hit that speed. We are going to look at our brainwaves the same way. What is happening is we are essentially starting our day, going the whole day, and ending our day in gear 3, our beta brainwaves. And our beta brainwaves are our get stuff done brainwave, but they're not intended to be the one that we're in all the time. Most importantly, we have to incorporate a wind up and a wind down into our day. We also need to give those beta brainwaves little, I call them micro doses of connection, little pulses and breaks throughout the day so that beta doesn't burn out. The other thing that is so cool about this, for so long as a woman, I thought that I had to carve out this 1-hour morning routine in order to take good care of myself, or this 1-hour evening ritual in order to take good care of myself. I don't know about you, but that's not realistic. And so what would happen is I wouldn't do it and then I would beat myself up. What's really cool about this brainwave alignment and this roadmap to realignment with yourself is that you can literally spend minutes. My morning is like a 5 to 10 minute ritual, and you feel the effects of this throughout the entire day. This will allow you to engage in present time consciousness at any time. This is going to help ensure that you're in peak performance and a flow state throughout your day. Gear 1, remember what we want to do every morning. is we want to go through gear 1 and 2 before going into the gear that most of us live in, gear 3. So I'm going to focus a lot of time right now on gear 1 and 2. We'll touch on gear 3, but it's most likely the most familiar gear for all of you. And then we're going to wind down in reverse back to gear 2, gear 1 into our nightly routine. So gear 1, this is the purple part of the pie chart. These are our theta brainwaves. These are my favorite. I light up when I'm talking about theta. Theta is the gateway to connection with your subconscious. This is your gateway to connection with something bigger than you. That is, God for people who are religious. This can be your intuition. This is source. This is universe. This is something beyond ourselves that helps us feel connected to something greater. Theta is the action step in the morning to make sure that you engage in a bit of theta time is to listen. And so in today's world, we are so inundated with information and knowledge, and that's great. But what I have seen happen is we have lost that connection to our wisdom, to our own inner voice. In a world where we hear everybody else's voice from the time we wake up till the time we go to bed, we have become disconnected with our own. And the beautiful thing is when you start to spend just a few minutes in the morning in theta, you create that reconnection. And what this looks like over time when we practice this skill is that in any moment in your day, you can feel disconnected. You can essentially feel like you lost yourself, and you can re-find what you need. I do this multiple times throughout the day. If I get, a little bit frazzled in school pickup or carpool or after back-to-back meetings in digital world, you literally can put your hand on your heart, ask what you need in this moment, and that little whisper will become a scream, and you will have such clarity in what to do in that moment to help you feel good again. So the way that we stay in theta, because we actually wake up in theta, we just pull ourselves out of it through getting on our phones, our devices, and hopping on emails, the news, the Twitter, the social media. Any of those things pull you right out of theta, which obviously, think about it. You're going right into listening to someone else's voice, the world's voice, and not your own. So what I want you to do on this worksheet is to know and ensure that gear number 1 is theta. So you can take some notes there. This is the gateway to your subconscious. This is your intuition. This is your connection to source, God. Your action step here is to listen and listen to you. So this is not where you put that podcast on. This is simply getting quiet and hearing what's going on in your mind. Now, to be honest, when you first tap into this, you might start to realize, wow, I've got some really intense thoughts and voices in the morning. I wake up wondering who needs me? Where do I need to go? Where am I behind? That's okay. Just forming the reconnection is the goal. There is no wrong way to do this. If you've ever heard or you've said yourself, I get my best ideas in the shower. Have you ever heard someone say that? That is because we're in theta. You think about it, the shower is probably one of the only places these days that nobody can bother us and that we're not surrounded by digital world, social media, phone calls, emails, all the things that interrupt this beautiful space. Also, when we daydream, we are in theta. So if you think about that's something we naturally used to do a lot more of until we all had a phone in our hand. In the line at the grocery store, right? We would look around the grocery store. That's theta. When you're a passenger in the car, or like when my kids are in the back, I feel like such a great mom when they're daydreaming out the window. That's theta. That's where you get reconnected to you. One more thing in theta, you want to make sure that you are very protective of your light sources. So again, I said, don't go on your phone. One, because you engage in everyone else's voices and not your own. But also you expose yourself to white and blue light, and that will throw you right out of theta and alpha, which is gear 2, into beta. And so what I suggest, if you're someone who for whatever reason has to use your phone as your alarm, you can do a short light to put a red light filter on your phone. I recommend you do this at night, no matter what, actually, and until sunrise in the morning. And I'll link a shortcut to that in the show notes. The other thing, in your home, so if you get up for this theta time, like get out of bed, I have some other resources on what I call your sit spot. This is a place that I go to in the morning. It's actually right behind me. And this is where I spend my theta and alpha time. So it's just like essentially if someone wanted to start working out at 6 a.m. in the morning, You set yourself up for success by laying out your gym clothes the night before, right? So you can't second guess yourself. Creating a sit spot ensures that you get out of your bed, you spend some beautiful time in Theta before the world gets loud, rather than choosing to hit that snooze button, get some more sleep, and then rush into your day. And the reality is you're not going to miss 10 minutes more of sleep, and it will completely change the way that your day feels. So I recommend setting up a sit spot. I'll link a full resource on that below as well. But in your sit spot, make sure that you have the ability to, if you need a source of light, that it's not white or blue light. You can go on Amazon. You can get red light bulbs for like $8, $10. You can light a candle. You can incorporate some therapeutic red light, which everyone knows I love, but that's also a little bit more of an investment. You don't have to do those things right away. Okay, so in your notes for Theta, all you need to do is listen. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter what it sounds like. Just doing this step is success. Check, done. Also, you'll see on the wheel, in parts of the book and in some other resources I've shared, I talk about this flow throughout the day. We can think about it like gears or the 5 Ps. The P for Theta is pause. So we're simply waking up and taking a pause, creating this intuitive place and space with ourselves before getting into the day. If you're a woman and it feels like your brain has 47 tabs open, you've got the kids asking questions, texts coming in, dinner to make, work to finish, and somehow you're still trying to think clearly, this is not a mindset issue. It is not a personality flaw. This is physiology and your nervous system stuck in urgency mode. I created this urgency reset, a simple 2-minute shift using Brainwave-based tools to help your nervous system downshift so you can come back into clarity and presence. Because the goal isn't just managing the chaos, it's being present for the moments that you don't want to miss. So you don't look back later in life and realize the years with the people you love or just your own life slipped by. Click the links. This is a mini masterclass. It's like 15 minutes, and I cannot wait for you guys to check this out. Back to the episode. Okay, gear number 2, alpha. So many people spend years meditating to try to achieve alpha. Again, we wake up in these magical states naturally. We just subconsciously pull ourselves out of it through our lifestyle that we've created, mainly because of the digital world that we're living in. So now we're going to go to gear number 2, alpha. And if you prefer to use the 5 Ps instead of the gears, this would be prepare. So for alpha, what you don't want to do, I'll talk about what you don't want to do first. You, again, don't want to expose yourself to screens, white light, blue light. You don't want to get on the social media. You don't want to get on your texts. You don't want to get on emails. This is where you connect. I like to say alpha is the heart space and she's the connector. And so we're going to spend some time in alpha. And the way that we do this, so we just went from Theta. Alpha is where we connect. Maybe this is where you pull out a journal. So you can write that down. Something you can do in alpha is journal. Take what you just heard in alpha and write it down. Something that I love to do in a journaling practice is to ask myself questions. Okay, I'm feeling super overwhelmed. Why do I feel overwhelmed? I'm feeling super run down. Why am I feeling run down? Literally a call and response with yourself to reconnect you to you, right? Again, this might sound silly. It might actually sound really subtle, but you guys, this is how we completely change our lives on the micro level, which will, on the daily practices, which will translate into massive changes over time, whether it's months, years, handful of years, whatever. And we do this through consistency. If you guys are looking for a journal that's got some really good prompts to get you going, I will link my journal below. It's the Be Inspired Mama Journal, and I created that just for you. Part of it is prompts that I've suggested for you, and then the back end is just open pages for you to flow. Another thing that we can do in our alpha time, and let me say this first, when we spend a few minutes in alpha, what we are doing is we are teaching our nervous system to be able to access this state later in the day. This is, if we zoom out, this entire resource, that is what we are doing. Whatever you do to your body and your nervous system first thing in the morning is the state that you will find throughout the day. So if you start your day in chaos, in stress, in movement, in go mode, you will more likely have one of those days where it's just like everything's coming at you. There's not enough time to get it all done. It's chaotic, it's busy. When you start your day with just a few minutes in Theta, a few minutes in alpha, it completely changes that. This will seed your nervous system so that when stuff is crazy and chaotic in the day, you can instantly find your center. There's actually science behind spending a few minutes in alpha leads to peak performance and a flow state throughout your day. So, when I first started this, I was like a little bit concerned. I'm wasting time. I got to hit the day. I got to get going. You guys, literally, this can be 5 minutes and you're going to get more done later in the day because you're going to be in a peak state. And the coolest part is you're going to probably look back at the day and feel like, I got it all done. And it felt really effortless. And I feel really calm and centered. Am I missing something? You just hit everything. That's alpha. Another thing that we can do to help encourage alpha brainwaves is we can stare at a candle. We can stare at a flickering flame. We've got these really cool things in our brain and nervous system that are called mirror neurons. These are activated. If you've ever smiled at a baby, the baby smiles back. If you've ever been talking to someone and you have your arms crossed and they do the same, that's mirror neurons in action. So the mirror neurons in our brain, when they see a candle or a flickering flame, they mimic the frequency of that flame, which is the same as alpha. So if you've ever noticed, if you're looking at a bonfire or if you have a fire in your home, turn on the fire for your alpha time. It will literally put you in that zone, right? You notice your busy brain stops, you get reconnected, and it almost feels like you zone out, but you're essentially in flow state. Time expands. How amazing. Who doesn't need that these days, right? And lastly, alpha is the connector. I like to use that word for the space. So this can be a connection with yourself through like journaling practice, asking yourself questions. This can be connection with your body. This is a great time for some light, flowy movement, some stretching. If you're a morning workouter, go ahead and move your body. That will, be great in your alpha brainwaves, as long as you're not like in a gym with crazy lighting, which will throw you out of alpha. This is also a great time to connect with your loved ones. So, I share a lot on my socials, like our kids, snuggling in our morning routine, connect with your spouse. This has been one of my favorite parts of our change in the morning, from going from all of us just hitting the ground running to now having this nurturing time before we all start our days. And I love seeing that our kids have just kind of adopted that as well. I literally think I'll look back as a mama and realize this is probably one of the greatest gifts that I gave them, to connect with themselves first before starting their day. Okay, so let me know below if you guys have any questions in alpha. This is also, I'll sometimes keep like a little notepad next to my sit spot back here. And if I start to have those like to-dos come up for the day, I'll write them down on the notepad so I can just like, okay, it's down there. I can take it out of my brain and I can get back to this zone. Ooh, one more thing. A puzzle. Doing something like a puzzle helps engage alpha. So for anyone who has like a really hard time slowing their mind down, if this is a new practice for you, I like to do something like what I would call meditation in motion, keeping our hands busy, right? Through something like a puzzle or knitting. This would all be engaging alpha. Or remember those coloring books, those adult coloring books? That will get you an alpha as well. It's like it keeps your hands busy so that your mind can get quiet. These are all great ways to engage alpha. So make sure you take notes. Again, the goal with this sheet is that you can look at this in your morning time, in your sit spot, and choose any one of these to help you engage alpha brainwaves. All right, number 3, beta. All right, this is where so many of us spend most of our time. You remember the old workforce day used to be the 9 to 5. Dolly Parton even wrote a song about it. There are very few of us anymore that have that boundary around our workday. So we are waking up, and if we look at white light, blue light, hop on our devices, we are going into gear 3. You think about how much of our days we spend doing that. I mean, I work from home, digital world. I know a lot of us do. It's really important that we recreate this boundary around our beta time. And then you think about the end of the day, which we'll talk about in a minute here, but how many of us allow, right, those last minute texts or emails to trickle in when actually we need to start to be winding down for the night. So beta is let's look at it as our 9 to 5er. She is our workforce. This is where we get our heaviest mental focused tasks done during the day. One thing that's great to do during our beta time, I would write this down, is put your devices on do not disturb. This is where you want to get in the zone, right? So as a mama, for me, what this looks like is if I'm getting all the text messages coming in on like figuring out carpool, figuring out which kid is going where, or the school messages, like I table those for a little while I'm in beta on focused tasks. If I'm getting emails coming in, I am not yet reacting to them. I am producing. So this is not where you're reacting to the emails, to the messages. This is where you're producing. This is your output. This is where you want to stay in the zone. That is beta. In beta, we actually want like the bright lights. Sunlight is incredible to help get us into beta brainwaves. So actually, if you're someone who has a hard time getting it done, you want to flex your beta muscle. So things to write down in your beta. This is your get it done. This is putting your devices on do not disturb. This is, like I said, the P for beta is produce. This is where we go after it. I would write reaction and cross it off, and I'd write production. I'd write focus, get in the zone, do the hard things in the space. Something that is really important, and this is listed as number 4 in our wheel, is to pulse, to microdose connection, to take breaks. So the way that our nervous system runs is essentially on, I'm just going to keep this super simple, but if anyone has questions, you can ask for more details, a 90-minute rhythm. For 90 minutes, we can focus on a really hard task. I would actually say it's probably closer to an hour. And then we have to have a brain break. When we are in our beta time, we want to take these micro doses of connection with ourselves, essentially every 90 minutes. You can set an alarm if you want. What you'll start to notice is that you will crave these. You probably already are doing some of these things. I know that I definitely fall into these. I just usually catch them. This is when you might say something to yourself like, oh, I just need a break. Let me scroll my phone. I just need a snack, right? And maybe you do, but maybe your brain is just saying, I need a break from burning out beta. This is when we want to engage alpha or theta. So this is when, if you follow me, I go for a nature walk outside. Nature puts you in alpha. If you live in a cold climate, just bundle up. Even just a few minutes is going to completely change your brain state. It's going to essentially clear the slate, let you empty some of those busy thoughts so that you can hit it again. And you're going to be so much more effective going back into beta after you've taken these breaks. You can take a brain break or a pulse by engaging theta. Remember, that's daydreaming. All you got to do is look up and out. So if you follow me online, I talk a lot about my lizard walks. I'm engaging something called expanded gaze. Essentially, when you look up and out, you tell your brain, this is safe. It gets you out of high stress mode. It gets you out of survival. It gets you out of the narrow focus that we're in when we're in that work mode. And it gives you a reset so that you can go back and do it again. These breaks don't have to be long. I would say anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes is great. What we tend to do, like I said, is we crave these brain breaks. We go on our phone, we go on socials, we scroll. All of these things essentially keep us in beta. So if you've ever realized you give yourself this brain break, right? We doom scroll. I mean, I definitely, like I said, have done it, have craved it. I'm just aware that it doesn't work. You don't feel better. It never feels better after. It just feels like a loss of time. So if you want it, do it, but also do the other. Do the alpha and theta break as well. So brunt of our workday in beta, the production. Now, the end of the day, we are going to downshift. We're going to go through alpha, which you know how to do. And then we're going to go through theta, which you know how to do. And I'm going to give you some specifics for the evening in a minute to get you into delta. Delta is our deep sleep brainwave. She is our healer. She is where I like to personify these brainwaves. She is, if we don't go into deep sleep and REM sleep, there are a lot of processes in our body that will not happen. We will not make a ton of growth hormone. We will not heal and regenerate the way that we could or should. Our lymph system of our brain, our glymphatic system will not engage. And so I always like to say a great day starts with a great night, and that starts with a great evening wind down. So when I am downshifting from beta, all right, we got it all done. We did all the things. And now you want to slow your roll. This is where maybe you start hitting those lower hanging fruit tasks, the easier things, right? Or this is like as a working mama, we're all working mamas, as a mama who is digital by day and then with my kids by afternoon, I downshift by, okay, now I'm going to switch into meal planning, grocery shopping. Not that these are low hanging fruit, but it's just kind of switching my brain into mama family mode. I'm not doing the work tasks anymore. I really do my best to compartmentalize the two things. If, again, I'm going to speak to the mamas. If you are going to pick up your kids, right? We all know our kids hop in our car. We are their safe place and they give us all that they've been holding in all day. So it's really important to get into alpha before we are reconnected with our children. So car rides to school to pick them up. I am not finishing last minute work phone calls. I won't schedule any. I am not catching up on emails at red lights. I've definitely done that. I don't know if you have. I am asking myself, what would make this car ride feel really good to me? What song do I want to hear? What do I want to play while I roll down the windows and like sing my heart out? Maybe there's a podcast I want to listen to, but I want to be really careful to not get too heady here. This is full on freedom and brain break. And then, I might even just transfer some tasks that I didn't get done today on my list for tomorrow, but try my best to let them be. Then theta, remember we want to work our way into theta. This is later in the evening when the sun's starting to go down. Definitely phones on red light mode is huge. Like I said, reference that link in the description for the shortcut on how to do that. Dimming our household lighting, because if our lighting in our home is really bright, it's going to be really hard to downshift. Remember, white light, bright light keeps us in beta. I also have a lot of resources on that, on my favorite lights, on what the lighting can do as far as our health and impacting sleep, and I'll link those below too. Other things that you can do into this time, again, it doesn't have to be a 1 hour routine, but if you can fit in any sort of, reversing what we did in the morning, journaling, creating that introspection, and it doesn't have to be an hour. This can literally just be a few minutes on your own. This can be something you do in bed. I've got a clip-on light that is super friendly for brainwave rhythm. It's called an amber light. I'll link that below. You can read in your bed. Reading is great for alpha time. So you can put that in your morning routine for alpha as well. Reading across a page literally calms our brain and nervous system down. So ideally, you're reading something that's really inspirational, that's really connected for you, that's really good, or a complete just, the fun romance novels. It doesn't even matter what you're reading. It's literally, this is like a functional neurological exercise I used to do with the kiddos in my practice to help slow down their busy brains. So when our eyes track across the page, really slow from left to right, and then quick from right to left again, it engages a part of our brain that slows down our mind. So this is a perfect way to end your evening. A bath, amazing. Sauna, amazing. Great to do at night. It helps get our inner core temperature really hot, and then we sway because our body's really smart. It tries to create homeostasis and balance. We sway into cold, which is incredible for sleeping. Sauna is also great for getting you in your parasympathetics and calming your mind. Okay, and so then that takes us into the last section on this side of the worksheet, number 6, delta. This is peace, right? And so this is our deep sleep and restoration, and everything we did leading up to here ensures that we get delta. Delta is how we ensure a great next day by getting that deep sleep, that REM sleep. Focus on temperature here, keep it nice and cold. Focus on your lighting, keep it nice and dark in your room. Obviously, no devices in the room, everything red light and circadian friendly. To ensure we get delta, another thing that's really great to do is saying no. So you can write this in your wind down leading up to delta, saying no to that last minute email, saying no to the text messages that can wait till tomorrow. Again, creating boundaries around this important time, because again, that is what ensures that we maximize our delta time, which will help us feeling great for tomorrow. Okay, in this little box here, I've just put some more info on the brainwaves from the other side. You'll see a brainwave in here, gamma, that we didn't really talk about. Gamma is, if we're looking at a wheel, gamma would be the target. Gamma is bullseye. When we live in alignment with our brain waves, remember, anytime you get thrown out, you follow this roadmap back to realignment, we get hits of insight. Oh my God, I have this challenge. And I just got the best idea. That's gamma. So gamma is really cool. And gamma just shows up when you're living this way. Let's zoom out for a minute. So often we make things way too big and way too complicated. The power is in the subtle. The power is in the simple. We are rewiring our nervous system to choose and carve a new path for ourselves and for our lives. We used to always choose this old path. This old path led us to our old word. We taught our reticular activating system, our filter, to look for opportunities, people, situations that fed this path, often without even realizing it. And this is why we stay stuck. We are now forging a new path through neuroplasticity. And so every day when you sit and you do your worksheet, you are slowly carving out this new path. You win by doing it. Because every time you sit with yourself for minutes, you guys, You put pavers on that new path. And what happens is over time, that path becomes so easy to take. At the beginning, it's going to feel like work. And the way that we bridge the gap is simply through awareness. You're getting ready to walk down that old path that you always do. You're getting ready to, maybe you had a trigger and you usually yell, or you freak out, or you get quiet, or you leave the situation. That's the old way. You catch yourself. Catching yourself, creating awareness is the win. It's all we need to do. So check, congratulate yourself. You may even choose the old path, but creating awareness around it is where we start to make this change in our brain and nervous system. Okay. I hope you guys get that, because we don't have to know what's at the end of the new path. We just have to be willing to take that first step. And that first step, every day we take a step. This is how this works. Again, it's the micro repetition that over time leads to major improvements in your life. And this isn't about becoming someone else. This is literally about dropping back into who you came to this world to be. This is getting rid of all the static that we've accumulated. This is stopping showing up as we think the world needs us to be or society needs us to be, and being who we truly are. And that's ease, and that's joy, and that's freedom. Okay, so now you guys have this incredible resource. Remember, practice. The big word for staying in alignment when life happens is this is practice, not perfection. And also, community is key. So do this with a friend, share this with a friend, share this episode with a friend, do this together, read this book together, maybe create a book club, because when you have someone to lean on, to voice note or to meet up with, to talk about the changes you're trying to make and maybe the wins and the challenges, that much more likely to be successful. And it's more fun to do it with someone. All right, guys, put any questions below. I would love to hear your thoughts and any takeaways, and tons of links in the description for you. And I will see you soon. Self-care needs a rebrand. And that's exactly why I wrote this book, The Connection Code, and it's out now. I'm so excited. I wrote this for the woman who feels like she has lost herself or just simply needs a reminder that everything she's searching for is already inside of her. Inside this book, you're going to find simple, science-backed tools to help you reset in real life moments, like in the carpool line or between back-to-back meetings, or maybe when you catch yourself unfortunately snapping at the people you love most. I designed the cover and made it playful on purpose because so many of us have lost this aspect of ourselves, and we need that invitation and reminder to bring back joy every single day. Pre-order your copy today, and you'll also get access to some amazing freebies to help you start regulating your nervous system and reconnecting with yourself right away.